Hi, Rob Tawabla Atamza Yakam Yawaman or Hagador, Charlotte, which is good evening. This is your brother Yawan from the GMS camp in Charlotte. Nachamatam Kaya Hamalakata Shamayim Kwara. Repent ye, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Call Layam La La Abanawa Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rocha Kwadash. Wamashana La Zakwanim Na Wamalakim Shor Hagador, which is all praises to our Father Yahweh, which means he exists. Bahasham, in the name Yahweh Shai, he delivers in double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. So this is an article on dailymail.com, and it says, Fear grips DC as Musk gains access to sensitive Treasury Department payment system that controls $5 trillion. It says, fear gripped Washington this morning as it emerged Elon Musk had gained access to the Treasury Department's payment system. The system is run by non-political career civil servants and controls trillions of dollars of government funds that go to programs like Social Security and Medicare. It says any interruption in its operation would spark widespread economic failure. You see, which pretty much this is pretty much playing into the enterprise that they want to set up in the world. Because DJ Trump, he's back into office with Elon Musk and his cabinet. And that's not by coincidence, because Elon Musk is in charge of that Neuralink and the whole thing with that that brain charagma, as well as various different forms of the charagma. You see that they want to push forth. So it's not a coincidence that he has a control over the funding system that they use. Because they can essentially come forth with a new system to correspond with that charagma. You see. But I'm gonna read this article, and then we'll get a couple precepts. But it says any interruption in its operation would spark widespread economic failure. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent gave Musk's Department of Government Efficiency (DOGE) the green light to have full access to the payments system late on Friday. It was not immediately clear why Musk wants access to the system, which handles around $5 trillion annually, but it could provide the Trump administration another means to target wasteful spending. Because they ultimately want in their NWO, they essentially want control over the spending of what the elites call the goyim, the cattle. Pretty much they call it the common folk. If I'm not mistaken, wasteless eaters, or wasteful eaters, or some of that effect. Useless eaters. That's what it is. Useless eaters. Pretty much they want total control. They want to see where your money's going, what you're spending it on, who you're spending your money with, and things of that nature. They want control of your thoughts, and that's going to come by means of that charagma. You see, and that's why it's tied into the the whole monetary system. It says it comes after a standoff this week with top Treasury official David LeBrick, who was in charge of the system through Donald Trump's first term during Biden's tenure. LeBrick had resisted Musk's attempts to access the system. He was abruptly placed on leave before announcing his retirement on Friday, and just by coincidence, dude is retiring. A coincidence, so to speak. But it says Democrats and liberal press erupted over Musk's move, with the likes of Senator Elizabeth Warren calling for Congress to investigate Musk's new power, and Republican Pramila Jayapal saying the ordeal reeks of corruption. The allies of Musk who were granted access were repeatedly made employees of the Treasury Department and were greenlit through government background checks. They also obtained the necessary security clearances, according to New York Times. You see, so this essentially goes into how this man wants to push forth his enterprise. I'm gonna read this though. It says, so far these people haven't gotten to work, and no government payments have been shut off, according to the two sources that spoke with the outlet. We go ahead and get a few precepts. Zata Haryam. This is Psalms chapter 21, and we'll get verse 11. And it says, for they intended evil against thee, talking about the so-called white man. And it says, for they intended evil against thee, They imagine a mischievous device which they are not able to perform. All right, and that mischievous device is the NWO. Let me get this word for device. All right, and it says mazama, and it says purpose, device, plot. The NWO New World Order. Pretty much goes into a plan. Pretty much like that article said, corruption. It's a plan to that evil that evil cartoon character that's always in Esau's movies and the cartoons and stuff like that. That mad scientist. This is Esau's plan of world domination. He already got the world in the palm of his hands. Job 9:24. You see, but he wants total control. He wants to know every single facet of everyone's life. You know, and essentially it ends all right with that charagma. In Esau's mind. In his mind. He wants the whole world. Chipped up and to where he pretty much is controlling thoughts, and running the world in a pseudo type of manner. And when you go into pseudo, it means a false type of manner, you know. But reading out, it says, Taharyam, Psalms 21:11, it says, for they intended evil against thee. They imagined a mischievous device which they are not able to perform, you see, which ultimately, he's going to get, 2/3 in the heathen, you see, but the elect not going to be touched, by that charagma, you see. But let's get a couple more. Zayashaya, this is Isaiah chapter 36, and we'll get verse 6. It says, lo, thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all that trust in him, you see. So essentially, 2/3, all right, and these heathens is essentially going to go down to, Egypt to oppression, which it is very detrimental to the, it's very detrimental. It's very disadvantageous, for Jake to go down to Egypt, you see. But we understand that 2/3 is going to go down to Egypt, going to go down to oppression for some type of assistance, you see, when they're ultimately just adding sin to sin, pursuant to Isaiah the 30th chapter, and ultimately going into trusting in that. It says, lo, thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt, where if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it, So ultimately, if you had some type of if you were walking, if you had your, if you were walking and essentially you're looking to, if you were walking and you had a walking stick, and generally when you have a walking stick, it needs to be something that's going to support your weight, that's going to sustain you, but essentially by trusting on Egypt, all right, it's a similitude being made here, because that it's a broken reed. The Lord is breaking the power of this place, so by essentially trusting in a broken reed, essentially it will go into someone's hand and ultimately destroy their hand. It will pierce their hand, in a symbolic sense, you see. But in a literal sense, that's gonna happen as well, to 2/3 that ultimately abide and trust in this devil system, you see, because in the end, ultimately, those that trust in this system will end up getting that charagma, you see. And let's go ahead and go to that scripture. This is Revelation chapter 13. We'll get verse 16. It says, and he causeth all, well, verse 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, which is the system, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. All right, and when the image of the beast is speaking, it speaks to its laws and its legislations, you see. So essentially, it's going to make it to where, that the system is going to come with certain consequences, ramifications, and different rules and regulations that's allowing it to speak, but it says, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast, those that didn't want to get with the system, should be killed, that there will be martyrs, Verse 16, it says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a charagma in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the charagma, or the name of the beast, or the name of his name. Now, that charagma goes into a subdermal device. When I say sub, all right, sub goes into under, all right, dermal meaning skin, under the skin, device, all right, ultimately tied to buying and selling, all right. And it says that no man might buy or sell Say he that had the charagma, so not gonna be able to do any type of business or anything. That's why everything is pretty much being linked, all right, to identification, money spending, et cetera, et cetera. All right, and just to elaborate on that, identification. You had the real the real ID. All right, you got Musk going up into the cabinet now. He's in Trump's administration. All right, also they're doing different things, essentially to tie into that NWO. You see, but we got Psalms 21, the 21st chapter. All right, they're not going to be able to perform their enterprise. You see. But yeah, I just wanted to go into that. Essentially, this devil is coming down with that great wrath. Let's get that real fast. All right. And he's giving it all that he has, you see. But again, in the end, he's not going to get his plans fully off the ground, or he's not going to, reach the end of his plans. All right, this is Revelation chapter 12 and verse 12. It says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And that's why we see this devil coming with, different laws and legislations, right? Trump came into the office. He hit the ground rolling. He's signing everything that he can. We're starting to see the America turn more into a more of a militarized state. They are militarizing. The different ABC groups. All right, the ABC. Law enforcement groups. They are becoming more militarized. All right, we got examples of that through ICE. A couple years ago, CBP. Where they was at. Northern Kingdom was pretty much trying to cross over into the borders, you see. But with Trump back in office, he signed the different things in the legislation, and then also with the law enforcement groups and stuff like that, they having a different spirit with them, and they're more so willing to be on the offensive versus how they was before. It's going to be a little bit more on edge, you see, and that's what we can look forward to in the future, which it doesn't stop here. It's gonna intensify. It's gonna keep increasing. You see, because this devil's coming with great wrath. You see, but yeah, just wanted to go into that. Adawan Zaza about Naya Paulo was what that was a beautiful edification to the spirit. Adawan Taza Atam Yash Laila Tawabe Lord's will. You have a good night. Washalom Lakam, which is peace unto you all. Shalom.